And now let's say hello to a man who was in Jon Jones's corner, has been by his side for so many years. He was there on Saturday night. He is the head man over at Jackson Wink. He is Coach Mike Winkeljohn. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Ariel.
Good to talk to you again. So the biggest question of them all, of course, is I think, how did you score the fight? So let me ask you, if you can. I know you're in the midst of it all, and you're kind of focused on a lot of things. But did you think that Jon won that fight?
Yes, I did. I thought we had 3 rounds to two. It was one of the things that we discussed in the corner, amongst the coaches, and we all felt pretty good that we were up 3-2. But you never know. I really wanted Jon to keep putting the pressure on him, and of course, we always want to finish. And Jon sucked it up and went for it. I'm so proud of him.
Which rounds did you score in favor of Jon?
I had 2, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Three was real close. 2 and 3 were those ones where, like, they were close. That's how I had it.
And in the first round, what are you thinking? There was a moment where it appeared as though maybe Dominick knocked him down very briefly. He got back up. He came after him with the flurry. What are you thinking? Is this going not exactly the way you expected?
Oh, that scared the shit out of me, to tell you the truth, because Dominick's back was to me. So when he hit Jon, I didn't know if that hit his chin or not. So for a flash of a second, I was thinking, we got a shit storm coming right now. We got to figure this out. But it was his chest. He bounced right back up, and then had to do a lot of pressure from Dominick. Dominick came. He looked real hungry. He was pacing back and forth, and we figured he was going to come out on fire, and he did. Holy crap! Nothing but my hats off to that young man.
Did he surprise you? Did you not think that he would fight that way?
Yeah, he surprised me that he would hit Jon as quick as he did. There's no doubt. We knew the left hand. We knew he has the left kick, but we know he has great takedown defense. He can throw uppercuts real well. He does everything real well. I mean, he's just it's his mental state that takes him so far that I was so impressed with. He's mentally very strong, and he takes damage and keeps coming right back. And because Jon was putting on him as well, and nothing but respect and a lot of wish for his best luck in the future. There's no doubt about it.
So you say that you thought that that Jon won the second round. What did you say to him in between the first and second to try to get him back on track?
You know what? I really wanted Jon to get back on his kicking range a little bit. He was throwing wide. He threw wide on that roundhouse kick. And that's where Dominick came back in. I wanted Jon to stay unpredictable with his feet, move in with his elbows, and I really wanted to get the takedown in on the fight. So I really wanted to push him against the cage and do some damage there. Dominick's not stupid, though. I would tell you what, he uses his movement very well. Would try to catch Jon here and there coming in. Jon kept working on that body, and Jon did his thing. But gosh, what about a nerve-wracking fight? But Jon won the fight, and I'm so proud of him.
What about Reyes' takedown defense? Were you expecting that? Were you expecting him to be able to thwart off that many takedowns? And even when Jon got him down, he was able to get right back up.
Oh yeah, you know what? His hips are a lot stronger than most people would think. We knew it was good. I mean, he's been in the game a long time, and I'm sure he worked relentlessly on how to defend what Jon does. But it was his ability to keep Jon from lifting him and get him in bad position. Jon's had his back a couple times. I was real impressed with how well Dominick could defend everything. And at the same time, it made both gas quite a bit. I was hoping that would gas out Dominick even more than it did. But that young man trained his butt off because he was in great shape.
Somewhat reminiscent of the first Alexander Gustafsson fight, Jon really digs down deep in the fourth and fifth round, and he's able to secure the victory by his performance in those two rounds in particular. What did you see out of him, especially when you're sitting and talking to him in the fourth and fifth? Because it seemed like that's the moment right there. Like the fight was up in the air, right? He could have gone one way or the other. And I thought the fifth round was his best round of them all. Was there anything in particular that he said to you that you said to him in between those fourth and fifth rounds?
Jon knows what to do. Of course, I throw ideas at him, a lot of tactics at him, and Greg gets calm down and does a lot of tactics as well. But Jon knows what to do. He knew he had to just keep pressuring, keep breaking him down, keep imposing his will, and he did. And Jon's a scary man when he's throwing things at you from different directions, and he keeps hitting you in the body, hitting you with those legs. Those things are just tearing people down constantly. And you need to, because the other guy's trying to punch in the head real hard and give you brain damage. So you just have to constantly keep working on these guys and breaking them down. And that's what Jon did.
So there is a line of thinking out there, and I'll be 100% transparent with you. I scored the fight for Dominick. I thought he won the first, second, and third round, but I think it's very close. and I don't consider it a robbery per se. When you're really coming down to one round, that's the dissenting round. I think that can't be a robbery. But I want to be, very transparent. You disagree? I had the first, second, and third for Dominic.
Oh, I definitely disagree with that. You know what? Like I said, even the third could have went to Jon. There's no doubt about it. You know what it is when Jon starts backing up, sometimes people will touch him. The power's not there, but it looks bad.
Uh-huh.
Those are places where sometimes those things look bad a little bit. But here's the deal: Jon's at the top of the world, so when he gets hit, everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's over. He got hit." And people overreact to some things a little bit. When he catches other people, like, "Oh, it's no big deal. Jon Jones is hit him. Look how tough he is." So the opponent always gets credit for being tough. And I'm not saying Dominic wasn't tough. Don't get me wrong; he was so tough. But Jon just when something doesn't go his way, it's like Jon all of a sudden is the worst thing in the world because people are not used to seeing that. But Dominic brought it. And he did that to Jon, so he did really well.
The one thing that I've learned about Jon over the past year or so that I wasn't sure I knew about prior to this run that he's on, this man has a chin. Holy smokes. He could take a punch. Wow. Like, that's a hard thing you can't really learn that per se. It's just you got it or you don't. Did you always know? Like, Santos and Reyes punched him with some heavy, heavy punches, and he just takes them and hardly gets rocked. Did you know that was in him?
Oh yeah, we knew that he could take a good punch. I don't want him to prove that to the world,
Sure.
but he's taken good punches. We saw that with Thiago, and Dominic cracked him. I think most men would have went down from those punches. Dominic can't hit. He's got a lot of heat in his strikes. There's no doubt about it. We knew he can take a good punch, but I want to stop doing that and proving that to the world as
Yeah.
much as possible.
So now there's this line of thinking that Jon is slowing down, that he's beatable, that he's hittable, that he's not as dominant as he once was. What do you make of that narrative and people saying that, especially in the aftermath of this fight?
I can't even say Jon had an off night. You know what? I think Dominic just had a great night, and Dominic came. Dominic put it on him. I think that everybody always is looking for this guy in the top to fall. I think that the 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 uh, the young guys are coming along. They're all starting to implement a lot of things that he's used, other things that they're seeing. I think everybody in the sport's getting that much better, that much faster, and it's exciting to see what the future is going to have to hold. Jon's going to go back to work. We're going to watch some tape here a little bit later on tonight, and the team, and decide how we're going to improve on what we're doing already to stay at the top of the game. And Jon will. He'll stay at the top of the game. The rematch will be good for us, just like it was for Gustafsson, because we have a better idea of what Dominic can or can't do. And no one like Jon can figure things out. He's just a student of the game until the end. And with Greg Jackson, a lot of the guys we have in the corner, you can't beat the knowledge.
When you say rematch, do you think that's next? Like, do you think they're going to do it right away?
I don't know. I don't know. That's all up to. I'm sure that's up to the money and what UFC wants to do. Jon's into anything. Jon doesn't turn down fights. It's whatever the UFC wants to do. I know us as coaches want to be prepared for whatever comes up and start putting them on the right path to make it even a better fight next time for us than it was this time. It was a great fight. I'm not saying it was not a great fight, but I like the dominant performances. The less damage we take, the better for us. And that's the kind of fight I like to have for Jon Jones from now on to the end of his career.
If he came up to you and said, "Coach, who do you want to see me fight next?" What do you say?
Oh, I don't even know. I guess I have to talk to him about where he's at. In my heart, I know Jon he likes the big challenges. So he would like a big challenge of rematching Dominick Reyes. He'd like a big challenge of getting a heavyweight title. The big fights always challenge Jon to motivate him to train that much harder than the lesser than fights. So whatever the big challenge is, I'm sure that's what motivates Jon Jones.
And so I know that before the fight, he was openly talking about heavyweight and Stipe. After what happened on Saturday, does that give you any pause? Do you still feel like that's in his future plans, or would you like to see him stick around at 205 now?
Oh, you know what? I think Stipe and those guys are fantastic, and Dominic and Daniel are fantastic fights for Jon at heavyweight. The speed's not there like Dominic Reyes. That kid can move around so much. He has a different threat than everybody else. Heavyweight's a little bit different, a little bit slower. Yes, they hit hard, but Jon's got a good chin. So it's a speed versus power game. I think Jon does just fine at heavyweight as well as continue to dominate at light heavyweight. In fact, I think he's going to dominate heavyweight. I'm in Jon Jones' corner to the end, and I believe he is the greatest of all time. And I don't know if anybody's going to ever knock him off or beat that record down the road in the future.
Do you like the idea of him fighting at heavyweight next?
I'm sorry. You know what? You cut out me there, Ariel.
Sorry,
Can you say that again?
do you like the idea of him fighting at heavyweight next?
Oh, you know what? It just depends on time, our time frame, how much time we have to put muscle mass on, if that's what we find that we need to do versus speed, depending on the opponent. So it's all about time and the opponent. So there's a lot of moving pieces to any of those, along with what motivates Jon Jones. So we have to get in Jon's head and make sure that we're supporting him with what he wants to do. I'm okay with going either direction.
Okay. And one thing that's come up on today's show and in the aftermath of this fight is open scoring. You're a veteran of the game. How do you feel about open scoring? Do you understand the concept? Basically, after the conclusion of every round, we would know who's up, who the judges scored the round for, so the fighters know going into the third or fourth and fifth who's up, who's not. How do you feel about this?
I actually kind of like it. I think it'd be great because I've seen some really goofy discussions, and it would bring it out on the fighters. They know going to the last round, they either have to knock the guy out or whatever the case is. You kind of know what's going on, and you fight accordingly. I think it's a fantastic thing, honestly, and it would hold the judges accountable. Make sure there's no shenanigans behind the
Right.
scenes.
Yeah.
Uh, Kind of like it quite a bit.
Okay. And by the way, do you have a health update on John? Like, how is he feeling? I know he was kind of walking gingerly afterwards. Is he okay? Any serious injuries?
Oh no, not at all. You know what? His shins were banged up a little
Right.
bit from checking those kicks that Dominic threw at him. No, he was walking just fine. He's fine now. You know what? Gosh, anybody that's had a lot of kicks come to those legs, they understands like, ow, that crap hurts, and everything's it's sore for a while. You know, just there's a little bit of swelling going on, but no, John's absolutely fine. I'm sure he'll be if he wants to start training, he can start training right away.
You mentioned being a little nervous in the middle of the fight. Have you ever been that nervous for a John Jones fight?
Gosh, you know what? My sound's real bad. Can you say that again, Ariel?
Oh, you mentioned being a little nervous in the midst of the fight. I'm wondering if you've ever been that nervous for a John Jones fight.
Oh, Gus had me that nervous too. You know, Gusman coming in and taking us down right off the bat. I wasn't worried about the takedown, but of course I was worried about John. I gotta get that takedown back, and getting tired doing so. So those two probably the most. Well, I take it back. You know, I get nervous in any time John fights. Daniel Cormier, with his power and his ability, always catch on edge. Thiago, oh my gosh, that's one guy's one punch away from your head explode. So no, I'm nervous in all of John Jones fights. Really thinking about making sure it's going to say the right thing, the right kind of advice, talking to the rest of the team, saying, guys, what do you think? Getting everybody's input, and hopefully making the proper decision.
Is it true that John Jones has trouble with taller opponents?
No, I don't think that's true at all. You know what? I think it depends on the opponent. Gustafson and Dominic Reyes are just two bad boys out there. Everybody poses something different. You know, you get Daniel Cormier and guys that can move their head and get in the real small stature. There's less targets to hit, and when they hit hard and they wrestle real well. So everybody, it's just different styles. John beats them all, and it just depends on which individual is in that body type.
And by the way, I wanted to ask you about this. I had the opportunity, and I appreciate you opening the doors to us at your gym, Jackson Wink in Albuquerque, less than 2 weeks ago to interview John Jones. And I learned about your incredible MMA program, which was amazing. You know, we were there for a few hours waiting for John, and I got to see some of the students in action with some of your fighters. When did you start this? And for those that don't know about it, could you tell us what it's all about?
You know what? It's a place after my own heart. I have a daughter with special needs, Autumn, and MMA has changed her life. Now she teaches at one of my gyms, and what I've noticed is so many kids that have special needs, they just want to be normal. They just want to do normal things, and this I would be silly to not use what I have available to motivate and help these kids, get better. Their therapists are so dang smart, but sometimes they can't motivate them. But you bring them to this environment with all these world class fighters and cages and bags, and all of a sudden they're motivated to do things that normally they won't do. And they're coming out of their shells. They're building their confidence. They're feeling normal about some things, and they got smiles on their faces. It's a great thing. It works for my fighters as well because fighters can't feel sorry about themselves. They look at others that were dealt these really bad cards in life, and they're playing that hand so well in life. So it's something big. It's called Incredible Adaptive MMA. Um, it's free for the students to come to. It's self funded, or we do a lot of fundraisers, those type of things. We don't have any government funds, but if anybody wants to help us out with it, please look us up. Incredible Adaptive MMA, and it's just good stuff. Look it up on Instagram under Incredible MMA, and you'll see some really neat things that are some really special people having fun.
Yeah, and I want to let people know it's INCREDABL. MMA, so not the incredible, if you will.
Heather, she started the program and she says, I want to show everybody these people are able to do great things. And so that was part of the name.
How long have you been doing it for?
2 years now.
2 years.
Well,
Amazing.
We've had the nonprofit 2 years, but we've been doing it for many, many, many years.
Amazing. And you actually have your actual pros in there with these kids, right? Not just like.
Yeah, all employees. I have a lot of pros that especially need extra income and stuff. So I make sure they get paid so they show up. I make sure that it makes the best experience for all these kids. But a lot of my pros, Jon Jones, Holly Holm, so many of them just got down their hands and knees and just held mitts for him and start wrestling with him, and they help each other, and it's a neat thing to see. MMA fighters are not about close the cage door and all these violent guys. Usually the nicest, gentlest people in the world that care for others, and I want the world to see that.
Yeah, that's some great footage that we just aired, and I suggest everyone check out the Instagram page. If I could ask you before I let you go, if you can give Jon Jones a grade for his performance on Saturday, what would you give him? If you were the teacher giving the student a grade on his paper, what would you say?
I'm giving him A+. You know what? He dug down, and I just posted something Jon said about embracing the suck. That's what he did, and that makes up for, okay, maybe you should have done this, maybe you should have done that, but it's very easy to be the Monday morning quarterback. But in the fight, he embraced it, he pushed, he dug down, and that's why he's a world champion.
Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.